Oh, she's armory. She's
What?
armory.
No, go for it. Oh my god.
She's got 1 health, dude. 1 health. Just shoot her 1 time.
Be gone!
Saw dudes! Welcome to another Operator How To. Today we're going to take a look at Team Rainbow's resident Docker, Copernicus.
God, down the hall.
Now, Captain Kaepernick was one of 2 operators in Blood Orchid's mid-season reinforcements to get a little rework of sorts. He's a 2-speed, 2-armor Russian that can stop the rushers with his traps. His weapons suit him to close medium-range play. If you want to play an operator that can do a little bit of intel and a little bit of entry denial, kinda like Legion, but with a little more boom, Kapkan is your guy. He's not necessarily the go-to pick on every site, but he is very effective at funneling the attacking team into situations they'd rather not be in. Let's talk about his gadget.
Didn't I?
Look, Jet, just be careful.
Kapkan's gadgets are his whammy wires. These things are one-time usage traps that he can place on doorways and windows to give enemies a nasty explosive surprise upon entry. The whammers do 60 damage to opponents on contact with them, so at full health an opponent will certainly be feeling it. If they're somewhat low, they can get downed, and if they're really low, they'll still just get killed outright. The traps are relatively easy to conceal since they're quite small and no longer emit the red laser that they did before the rework. Kapkan gets 5 of these traps. On doorways, they're most effectively placed towards the bottom and towards the direction the enemy is likely to come through, to make them harder to spot. For instance, if an enemy is bound to come through a doorway from the left, the first part of the doorway they'll notice is the right side of it. Placing it opposite will negate this. To place these devices at the bottom of doorways without much hassle, stand at an angle like this, and aim towards the bottom of the wall. Then you're all set. The traps can be placed on windows too, for an extra bit of helpful defense. If you place the traps at common choke points just outside the objective room, you can often catch people by surprise. Once they spot a trap further outside of the building, people will be more likely to keep their guard up and start scanning doorways. The traps can easily be countered by Twitch's drone or IQ's scanner. Although the captain is 2-speed and can get around the building without much hassle, his weapons are still suited to close range, and perhaps your playstyle should reflect that.
Every time I'm in the street, I hear
Kapkan gets access to the 9x19 VSN submachine gun.
Shit.
Compared to the well-liked MP5 and UMP45, this thing has a moderate rate of fire at 750 rounds per minute and is between the two in terms of damage per shot. It has virtually no recoil and can pop off headshots like nobody's business. It's a shame you can't put an ACOG on the thing, but it still does the job. The gun does well at close medium ranges. The Russian optics do just as well as the NATO ones in my opinion. I'm a big fan of the reflex sight, but I'm getting a little more partial to the holographic. I found that a flash hider suits the gun well in my experience, but a suppressor also doesn't do too bad either. The reduction in damage isn't very obtrusive, and if you want to play Kapkan like a lurker, it's certainly an option. It's a solid weapon, and I have no particular quarrels with it. It gets the job done. Now, oh god. Oh, this thing. Damn, I got flashed.
So, yep. They jumped like right on top of me.
I got one of them. Okay, so at first when I started writing the script for this video, I hated this gun. After experimenting with it solely for the purpose of this video, I've actually found the meme machine can be a dream machine in the right hands. I understand that the initial and probably most logical reaction is to write it off entirely because the meta currently favors submachine guns and semi-autos across the board are generally crap. So you have an already crappy weapon class, and then the damage of this particular weapon is pretty crappy. Its damage falls off considerably quickly. When you're competing in a space with the SPAS 12, the M10, or even the 612, which I actually like the 612, but that's a separate argument, you can't help but wonder why this thing is even in the game. Well, a good carpenter doesn't hastily blame their tools. And yeah, I got wrecked towards the end of this particular clip, but I did tag Twitch, and ultimately led to her getting fragged eventually. I screwed up here and didn't get my traps down, but I still managed to take down 2 enemies and secure the diffuser. You have to wait in ambush with the SAS-G. Sit in really tight angles. The tightest angles you can possibly think of.
Fuck. She got a cardiac sensor, but I don't know where it was.
Over here.
Peeking.
Time.
I'm trying to watch these windows also, bro.
Yeah, watch the
just
windows.
me and you.
I got
Trying to. I'm just heartbeat censoring them. So if they come, I'll
Keep
peek
doing
it.
that. I have to hold west.
They're going to your right. Pulse. Look right. They're going over there.
Down to 15 seconds.
Wow, he's there. He's lit.
Last operator
Nice.
standing.
If you play your cards right and let the enemy
Wow,
face
how did
check
you know I
you,
was there?
this thing can actually work pretty well. I now fully understand why the meme machine can be the dream machine, as I've already stated, and I'm probably going to take that suppressor off.
Yeah, it's by trains.
Carriers on me.
Another facet of using the SAS-G is that you should really be using the PMM a lot. The Russian PMM handgun has a great deal of damage for a weapon of its type, and it can get ish done when you need it. The Gush is a pea shooter. It's not as bad as the French high cap in terms of damage output. For whatever reason, you can put a compensator on it. I guess that makes the thing more suited to spam firing. I'd tell you to use the PMM, but it's a free country.
Shake it, break it, shake it, break it, shake it, break it. Shake it, break it, break it, break it, break it, break it. Shake it, break it, shake it, break it, shake it, break it.
Sit down, bitch.
Shake it, break it, break it, break it, break it, shake it.
Op 4, last stop standing.
Do you need some pistol kills by chance?
I just have a shotgun.
Ah, I see.
Captain Russia has access to either barbed wire or a nitro cell. Use the nitro cell.
This is my first game of the night.
It suits his playstyle really well, since he can ambush unsuspecting opponents with it quite effectively. As someone who will probably spend a good deal of time lurking and anchoring, he's very useful for dealing with people bucking, sledging, or fusing from the ceiling of an objective. Razor wire is useful and all, but you're not Bandit. If you place the thing well, you get a free frag. I think the choice is pretty obvious here.
Sledge and, Adam.
Nice.
Kapkan should be picked on sites that have a lot of doorways and tight choke points that are close to the objective. The reason for this is that it increases the likelihood at which Ash mains will get hit by the
Oh,
trap.
what?
A good
Where?
example of this would be the top floor officers on
kitchen
Consulate
window,
or
right
the
above
Armory
you.
on Border. With the rework that he
Dang
got,
it, I thought
I
someone was
think he
watching
serves
that.
a much more useful role as an operator that can provide his
But, like,
team
we
with a
had
combination of
somebody
intel
right there.
and fragging
So I
potential.
thought
When you hear the
watching
explosion, it should be pretty obvious where it's coming from. It's pretty loud. And again, if the enemy has already been hit before, they'll be killed by the trap outright anyway. In combination with a good deal of wire, a Legion, a Frost maybe, and a good anchor, it's going to be basically impossible to get into the site without some serious drywall work. Perhaps more importantly, Kapkan is also just a fun operator to play. You can play him at range with the SMG, or you can play up close and personal with the shotgun. His secondary sidearm is very good, and in the chance you're having some netcode problems, well, netcode doesn't particularly care when an Ash main runs into the trap. You can clutch around without even having to fire a shot. Try to get your traps down at the start of the round though, or you may find yourself in a situation where you're running around trying to place them, and then you end up getting whacked. Your friendly neighborhood doc can be there to fix up your boo-boos. A true hunter always watches their steps, but, as I said, most Ash mains don't. And that's probably what I love about this cheeky fuck. It may seem obvious to check for traps, but a lot of people don't. And that's all you really need to know about Jeff Kapkan.
Blue hallway, 2 of them.
Well, I mean,
His teammate in. Helping us
I
out.
had an entry denial go off kitchen.
oh god, no, Blitz is over in the fucking hallway near Spiral.
I'm getting sprayed through the wall right now.
Good game.
Coming up next is a video on Blitz, followed by that, a special project, a poll of which pertaining to that, linked in the description. Thank you all so much for watching, Game Gang. I just want to let you guys know that the channel is going in a great direction. If you haven't already, please consider following or even subscribing to my Twitch channel. I stream on a daily basis every evening, so if you want your name in the chat on one of those clips, you might want to give that a shot. Plus, if you subscribe, you can use this little Tyler emoji. I also know that I've been neglecting the Patreon channel. Please rest assured, I am not doing this on purpose. I'm just a lazy asshole. However, I will be taking a look at cleaning up house. Join the Discord too, if you haven't already. I'm done shelling. Thanks again, Game Gang. See you all next time. Deuces. Bye.